Took the steady away approach to that water crossing. Bit sweaty, John.
It's cool enough up here.
How did you find that on there?
That was alright, I just missed the step at the end.
I was quite impressed that's on the CB500.
Yeah, she's pretty tractable on those. It's very smooth. I just stalled it right at the top.
Okay, so it's a bit windy up here. We're on the top of Cobry End, which is one of the highest lanes in England. It's rocky and loose, and we've come up one side and we're about to go down the other side. One of the things I really like about the GS is the ability to turn the ABS off, so the surface now going down is really loose. So all I need to do is, there's a button on the left hand side of the handlebars, and all you need to do is keep the button down for about 5 seconds and it turns off the ABS on the rear, which means you can lock it up if you need to. And the great thing is you can do that while you're riding and it stays off. It's really simple. I don't know why more bikes don't do it, but yeah, it's good. It's really good. Thumbs up. Left thumbs up.
Where are we now then, Greg?
Yeah, okay, so we're what you call the H, which is kind of one of the more challenging lanes that we got up here. It's a bit of a rites of passage, really. It's totally doable on the 450 on the EXC and on enduro bikes, but it's going to be a bit of a challenge on the bigger bikes, but we'll give it a go. This should be fun. I'm glad John's up for it, because I think it's going to get a bit hot, but yeah, oh yeah, and I'm riding a bike that's not my bike. Yeah, we'll see if it comes through unscathed. Okay, so I've just run up the H. I'm waiting for John on his CB500x rally raid. Here he comes. He's up on his pegs. Is he going to take the easy line or the hard line? Oh, he's gone the easy way. You made that bit look easy, John.
I still do a bit of trials, keep my hand in.
How does that feel, the 500? Does it feel heavy?
It feels heavier than the 310, but it actually you get more traction because it's a twin, and I think it's got a bit more weight on the front, which actually helps coming down the hills, not so much going up. But overall, it's got more traction because it's not nothing to do with the fact it's more powerful. It's a twin, and it's just much smoother off the bottom, which on the rocks you don't want to break traction. It's all about just keeping a nice even speed and rolling over them.
You also don't want to break the bike, which is what I'm going to try not to do. This is normally totally fine on my 450 KTM 450 EXC. I say totally fine. I have been known to dab a foot every here and there, but generally it's fine. So this 310 is obviously less powerful. It's the gearing is different on it, so I find I'm constantly feathering second gear. So we'll see how we get on. Not got enduro or trials tyres on either. We've got the Motorz Traction 8 Adventures, which are great tyres, but again they're a bit firmer with the pressures and everything. So yeah, GS time on the H. John just showed me what he keeps in his pocket at all times, and it was quite apt, and there's a moral to the story.
Business cards that side. For anybody that thinks you only need a big bike to ride the trails and anything else is ephemerate, here's a magnifying glass to look at your incredibly small penis when you get home. I say don't knock it till you've tried it. It's if you want to keep riding as you get older, the big bikes are fine, but all my friends, we're all downsizing. Not to keep riding the same trails. If you want to be riding them without being intimidated, and a lot of us ride on our own now, you know, we've got time off in the week, and you haven't got the luxury of 2 or 3 mates to pick the bike off you. So the first rule is, if you're out on your own, you've got to be able to pick the bike up off yourself. And you know, that excludes a lot of stuff. So you know, I'm looking for something that's smaller, but also I could do 100 mile and I can go further afield in the week to do byways and lanes. They're a bit out of my area of my enduro bike, and I just need something that does a sort of 50-50.
And which bike are you talking about?
The GS is probably more 50-50. I'd say the CB is more 70-30 road, 70 road, 30 off-road, but it's very good on loose conditions because it's a twin. It will grip anywhere. So, you know, I've been down to Morocco with it and it's a real hoot on the sand. But the single, she's just 30 kilos lighter and it's a bit narrower, so on your own you can sort of winkle it through most of the stuff I can ride my enduro bike, albeit a bit slower, and that's the difference really. But the good thing is I can be 120 mile away from home and then just turn around, put a bit of fuel in and trundle off back on the road, dual carriageway with no problem.
Okay, just back from amazing day riding around Northumberland with John. Just putting the CB500x and the BMW GS310 away. So my normal bike is a KTM 450 EXC, and I trail ride with that, and we did the tech with that, and on the tech it was great. We did do a lot of road work, and for where we went it was fairly overkill in Northern Europe. So I was really interested to see how the 310 would kind of compare. I guess I've not ridden a big GS1200. I'm not a motorcycle journalist. You need to speak to your Nathan Millwards for direct comparisons, but the only bike I can compare it to is my 450 EXC. It's different for sure. I mean, first of all, it looks great. It looks aggressive and fast, and that's largely because of the rally raid treatment on it. Upgraded suspension, wheels, a few other bits and bobs that still need to be done to it. It's light, yeah, really light, lighter than it looks. It's a 310. To get the best out of it, I found today, you really got to wring its neck a little bit. The gearing, low down when you're doing some of the trickier stuff, I found I was constantly kind of feathering the clutch a little bit, and John's mentioned that the changing the rear sprockets helped with that, so I think that's something that you'd have a look at if you got one and you're doing trail riding. But in terms of trail riding, it absolutely is a bike that you could trail ride on. We went up some of the hardest stuff that we've got up in Northumberland, and it got up no problems. I didn't drop it, which is quite amazing for me. Anyone that knows me and has ridden with me, the bike stayed vertical, but then again, it's not my bike to drop. I think where it struggled a little bit, it was on the road sections. You constantly felt like you were kind of at full throttle in the higher gears. If you were going to kind of overtake, or you wanted a bit of oomph, you got to kind of really think about it and drop down into an appropriate gear. But it is just a 310. I think it probably looks a little bit more aggressive than it actually is. In terms of long distance, in terms of the tech, 100% tech bike. This would be a better tech bike for Northern Europe, France, Belgium, Holland, most of the UK. This would be a better tech bike than the 450. probably easier to live with. Would I change it for my 450? No, I wouldn't. For the kind of riding I do, trail riding, I like the power of the 450. So I think if you've got a trail bike, an EXC or some kind of enduro adventure bike, you probably wouldn't need this as your second bike. If you didn't have a bike at all and you wanted to get into adventure riding and you were prepared to put some of the I need a big bike stuff aside, perfect. I think this could quite happily be your only bike if you wanted to trail ride and be able to get around on the roads and have relatively low maintenance on it. I think it's a great bike. So the interesting thing was we rode up to Alston, and John was on his CB500x, which has been the rally raid bike really for a little while now. And we swapped over and I rode the CB back. It was a revelation. Like, I absolutely loved it. As John said, the CB is more 70% road, 30% trails. I'm quite short, the CB is quite high. I really like that riding position while we're on the road. I think I'd be quite nervous to take it off-road, especially considering it's not my bike. So we didn't do any trails on the way back. But I think I would, if I did have it and I built my confidence up on it, I would take it on trail. But in terms of my only bike at the moment is a 450 enduro bike. I live in Northumberland, which is on the border of Scotland. I don't know that I would take my EXC all the way up to Scotland. It'd take about an hour on the road to get up there, and then once you're up there, it's still mostly road work. So I think getting the CB500X would open up a whole new area. I think you'd easily get down gravel roads, no matter what your ability, on the CB. Yeah, I think I might be in the market for a CB. And if I didn't have any bike, if someone said you had to get rid of all of them, you're going to have one bike, then I would consider the 310 for sure. Thank you, John. Thank you, Rally Raid, for a great day out in Northumberland. It's sunny like this all the time, honestly. We've got some good plans for a little tech project later in the year with the 310. So yeah, looking forward to seeing how that gets out on the Trans-Euro trails.